So, is there anything else I need to cover? Don't think so. In that case, let us set the scene. It is the evening of the 1st of November, All Saints Day. And...
Is that today? Oh, it's actually today. Sorry, I'm a dumbass. Keep going.
It is today. It is today. And it is today.
It was like...
It is today in whatever year The Gentleman Strangers is set, which is somewhere between 1885 and 1895. And Mr. Cutter and Mr. Spider are enjoying a drink in the Aventine. To answer the more romance question before we get into the scene, yes, anyone who bid in the auction at the right level, I think that's all of you actually did. Well, you have a moderate help and hinder as well as all the other things you got. So let me know when you want to cash those in.
Well, wait, you chat will tell us.
I will. So, Izzy is still muted. I will continue with my scene then. You're sitting, I think it's early evening, although of course it's already very dark out as it is November. So it's say 5 p.m. or so and already essentially nighttime. The last waning band of the sun is still just about visible. It's a very clear, crisp night. And a bit of a commotion is caused in the Aventine. A young woman comes into the door, looking very distressed. You would say she was in her 20s. She's actually not. She's not dressed too badly. She dresses like you would say, Mr. Spider. She dresses like a governess. She's got that kind of very sensible outfit on that someone does when they're working for someone else in a professional way. And she runs in. She doesn't look like she's physically exerting herself. She doesn't look injured, but she looks a bit bleary, a bit exhausted. And she almost lands on the brass rail around the bar. The gentle giant that is Mr. Hyde, he's not that big. He's a large fellow, but he's not a giant. The gentle figure of Mr. Hyde goes over to her and offers her a brandy or something to help her steady her nerves. And she seems to spend a moment collecting herself and starts. I mean, you're watching her with interest. A lot of the bar is watching her with some interest. And a lot of people are starting to return to their drinks. Fundamentally, the Aventine is the kind of place where you mind your business, but you specifically are generally here to people watch. And you see her mouth moving at 100 miles per hour. She's obviously relating something, and you can see that she's at certain times she seems to be almost trying to gather her thoughts, and she hangs her head, and you see Mr. Hyde place a hand on hers, and she looks up, and he puts a hand up, and he leaves the bar, and he comes over to your table. I'm sorry to disturb you, gentlemen. I'm sure you've noticed our new patron has just arrived. A young woman by the name of Evelyn. She's had an experience, and I'll leave it to her to relate, but I wondered if you might be able to consider helping her.
Of course. You gave her a drink already, right?
I did. I'll send her over.
Sure.
And not long later, the young woman comes over. You can see she's. This is a detail that sounds very strange to modern ears, she does not have a hat on. And she is quite well dressed. And by well dressed, I mean she's wearing nice clothes, but not expensive clothes. Neat clothes. She's got a proper coat on for winter, but she's not wearing a hat, which is very unusual. And she approaches you somewhat hesitantly and isn't sure if she should sit down or not. The landlord seemed to think.
Yes. Sit. Take a moment.
She is clutching in her two delicate fingers this now completely empty brandy glass, and every now and then she almost seems to raise it before realizing that she's already drained its contents. Forgive me, I'm sorry. My name is Evelyn Smith.
Good to meet you.
I'm sorry. I'm very tired. I haven't slept.
How can we help? What's happened?
I don't know. I'm a nanny. I know I look young for it, but I've lived in London most of my life, and I just sorry, I don't know where to start. I took a position. I took a position with a family recently, a few days ago, called the Rawquists, and very nice couple, but it was all a bit strange. They said I was to look after their 4-year-old, Elizabeth. And I answered their advertisement, and I went to their home. I was the only one there at the time. They asked me barely any questions at all. They did not so much as ask for a reference. But I have good references. You might come away from this thinking that I am very, very poorly trained or poorly equipped for this position, but I assure you that is not the case. Anyway, they did not ask for any references, and they asked me barely any questions. And it seemed to me as though they were dressed rather strangely. Now, of course, I realize they were dressed for travel. The interview was short. I think barely a quarter hour had passed. And they told me that they'd accepted me for the position, and was I available to begin immediately? And I said, yes, of course. Would you like me to move in tomorrow morning? And they said, no, immediately. The pay was good, and so of course I accepted. I would have to move my things at a later date, but they seemed keen to go. And they said their daughter Elizabeth is very quiet. Remember, I've accepted this job. I have not met the child at this point, and I've taken the job, and they leave the house, and I realize that there's a carriage outside the house filled with trunks. They must have had a last-minute problem with their last nanny. I don't know, but they were clearly off on some sort of trip. And I was told Elizabeth is very quiet, and that I'm not to disturb her unless she calls for me. Very strange, but who was I to argue? I could see that the Rawquists are very well-established people, very well-to-do. Anyway, This was yesterday afternoon. And they left me alone in their house, except for their daughter, whom I was apparently to protect while they were on holiday, though I had not met her. Now would be an excellent time to go and get a cup of tea if you feel as though you might be too distressed by what's about to follow. If so, see you in 5 minutes. So I settled in. There were no other servants. I expected a housemaid and a cook at the very least. No other servants. Hours passed, and I was beginning to think of turning in. It was around 9 p.m. And then I heard from upstairs a cry. But it wasn't a 4-year-old. It was a baby. Which I thought was very strange. The Rawquists had been completely explicit. They had a single child, a 4-year-old. There was a photograph on the mantle. I could see when she must have been 2 or 3. Anyway, naturally, I went up. What started as a bit of a mewling very quickly became a cry. Well, I wasn't expecting to have to look after a baby, but I'm perfectly trained. I've looked after babies before. There was no problem. Oh, Jesus Christ.
I'm gonna pour her more whatever we're drinking from the table.
Jesus Christ. Sorry, forgive me. I've spent that night and all of today trying to convince anyone to listen to my story, and now that you are, I realize I must relive the events. I went up to follow the sound of the crying, and I swear the very moment I set foot on the top landing, it stopped. And I don't mean went quiet, I mean it stopped. Obviously, I continued. There was only one room on that floor. And I opened the door and it was a nursery. Obviously, it had there was a baby. Quite dead. Not newly dead. His skin was grey and shriveled, and his eyes were sunken. You would think that that was the worst thing. If you believe what I'm about to tell you, then you are the first to do so, though I have told this story before. This child was not clothed, you see, and I could see something moving under its skin. I could see silvery lines darting here and about throughout the room. I turned thinking I needed to fetch a policeman. I didn't know what to think. I remember the strangest detail now. It almost seems absurd on top of the horrors that I've seen, but I turned and I'm fairly sure I stood on a snail or something. Obviously, I was shaken by what I'd seen, but I like to think of myself as a composed person. The moment I laid my hand upon the handle of the door, the crying began again, right behind me. I am ashamed to say I ran. Stopping only to take my coat, I ran out into the night to find a policeman. A policeman, of all things. What was I going to tell a policeman? A respectable young woman running out into the night to say that she'd heard a dead infant crying at her. Well, that was the story I told to the first policeman I saw. I swear the man tried to smell my breath for gin. I don't blame him. But I'm not drunk. I don't drink. And I'm not mad either, sirs. But to compound my shame, did not return to the house. I have not slept. I walked throughout the night. I tried to tell the story. I tried to make sense of the story. I tried to tell the story to anyone who would listen. At last, an hour or so ago, a beggar, a vagrant, overheard me and said that he'd heard such things before and that there was a place called the Aventine where such stories are told and taken for true. And the landlord just now told me that he seemed to believe me. And he told me that the two of you, if anyone could get to the bottom of what has happened to me, of what is still happening at that house, then it's the two of you.
That was a harrowing tale.
Quite a
But I
fascinating one.
will assure you that the landlord is correct. We do believe such things happen. And we will help. But I do have a few questions. You haven't slept.
No.
How much time has passed, do you think?
What is the time? What is the time now?
It's around 5 p.m. on the 1st.
I would have left the house. Let me see. The crying began not long after 9 p.m. So I left the house not long after that and have been wandering ever since.
Right. Take a sip. Calm your nerves.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're in good hands here.
Miss Smith. What was the name of the couple again?
The Rawquists.
Rawquist.
And there was no sign of a 4-year-old in the house. Or were you unable to check?
The nursery. When I entered the nursery, the thing that drew my gaze was that awful crib. But from my memory, there did seem to be a bed of suitable size for a 4 or 5-year-old. But I still have not yet met. Oh, God. What if I've left this poor girl?
That's why you're here with us.
Oh, my God. I'll never work again. I don't deserve to. Oh, I should have found her on my way out. Jesus, forgive me. God, what have I done?
It sounds more like what have the Rawquests done to you.
Quite. The better and the worse of it, Miss Smith, is I do not believe the Rawquests will be giving you a reference whether you are the finest nanny in London or not.
Quite.
And they left you with no instructions.
They barely told me anything. They told me that Elizabeth was quiet and not to be disturbed unless she called for me. They gave me no instructions as to her education. They mentioned a previous nanny, and I gathered from the fact that they were about to go traveling that the nanny had left their employment suddenly or unexpectedly, hence the rush. But the advertisement was posted 2 days before I went to go and see them. They cannot have been in that much of... I don't know. I do not know. I do not know what sort of people would not bury their child.
Or would leave a 4-year-old in the presence of such a monstrosity.
Quite.
When you say silver, how did you describe them? Did it seem...
It is going to sound absurd to you, but everything I've said sounds absurd, so I'm sure you're used to it by now. It was like slug trails, you know, silvery streaks around the room, over the crib, over the body. Cannot explain it, but it may well not be that, but except that I'm sure I trod on a snail. That horrid crunch. My mind crystallizes around that sound because just before it, the crying began, and it is as though I've been reliving a shadow of that moment ever since. It was real, that crying. It was... Under normal circumstances, nothing would have compelled me to run away from a crying baby. You understand that. I am a nurturing person. I am a trained and experienced nanny.
And that, Miss Smith, is the very reason why my compatriot and I believed you so readily. For nothing more than the influence of the frightful and the supernatural could compel a compassionate woman like you to flee from a crying infant.
I thank you for saying that, and I assure you there was no path for me but forward. Now, despite all I have seen, I cannot imagine what I might have seen had I turned around.
For that reason...
All of my instincts vanished except for one, flee.
For that reason, Miss Smith, for what little comfort I am able to bring you, you should not think that whatever was in that crib was an infant. Merely something which cried and bore resemblance to an infant. Therefore take comfort in the fact that you, whilst you have experienced something frightful, have not neglected a child.
You speak so clearly about it, but how can such a thing be so straightforward? You believe me, which I thank you for, but you're so calm. How can such a thing not horrify you? Are such things so commonplace? Yet I can never have heard of such a thing outside of the most fantastical stories.
On the contrary, Miss Smith, we are horrified to our core, but it serves no purpose to be sat crying about something that we have not experienced. I shall require the address of the Rawquests' house from you, and an address that we might reach you should we have further questions.
I should come with you, surely.
It would be more helpful for you to do so, but I understand that such a thing might be conceptually terrifying for you.
I do not want to, but as far as I know, there is still a 4-year-old girl in that house that I have already abandoned once in my terror. I forgot all about her in that moment when I ran. I forgot that there was anyone in the house but me and that thing.
Then there is not a moment to waste.
I'll say this as well. The body that I saw was not Elizabeth. It was certainly a boy.
All right. If you'll return to the bar for a moment, I need to speak with my colleague.
Before Cutter speaks, Mr. Spider leans back and sort of waves to. I don't know. Does Mr. Hyde have like serving staff, or is it too small a place?
It's quite an extensive place they haven't done, and there are indeed bar staff.
Mr. Cutter. I know I'm Mr. Spider. You're Mr. Cutter.
Yes.
Mr. Cutter is handsome.
Yes.
And hench. Mr. Spider will wave to one of the serving staff and say, "You wouldn't happen to have the paper of 2 days ago in a back room somewhere?"
Which paper would you be after, sir?
Oh, sort of newspaper where one might place an advertisement for a nanny. Well-to-do family.
Might I suggest the Times, sir?
Capital. Quite what I was going to suggest.
He'll be away for a few minutes and come back with a copy of the Times.
Mr. Spider will accept it while Cutter is saying what it is Cutter wants to say. Thank you.
Mr. Cutter's hands will come from below the table to grab the cup, and I think Mr. Spider will notice that they are visibly shaking. This is probably one of my worst nightmares. Come to life right in front of me.
Heavens.
I have a soft spot for helpless children being thrust into a world that cares little for them, and this is just a shining example of the worst of humanity. How could they... We've got to make this right.
As stands to how, Cutter? It may well be that whatever was so horrifying about this house that drove Miss Smith into the streets may well have done likewise for the Rawquists. But we cannot make suppositions without data.
Mm-hmm. Of course.
But children play an important part of your life, Cutter?
Perhaps it's better if you didn't know intimate details of my life. Likewise, I yours. But I do think everyone should value the lives and health of children, just in general.
No, of course. One cannot be said to not value the lives of children, but...
I do believe I'm going to hate this quite a lot.
Nothing about our job is ever easy, Mr. Cutter.
But if it could be, just once, you know, that would... I wouldn't say no.
If it is any comfort, I find the idea of ghostly children as conceptually horrifying as ghosts that dwell within lighting fixtures.
And, like, a quick darting glance to the Aventine. Like, it's candles, right? It's not electricity. Are we still doing candles?
It's gas. It's gas lamps.
Yeah. So just, you know, making sure there's no electricity in here.
The Aventine is
panic.
not. No, the Aventine is not wired for electricity.
Mr. Spider, goes to hold onto his shoulder and then doesn't. Nevertheless, of course, you must not think me a heartless man who leaps headlong into such endeavour without cause for sadness, but my interest is in this Elizabeth.
You're right, perhaps my perspective is off here.
There may well be a live child in danger, and that means far more to me than any number of ghostly children who are beyond our care.
Right. Where's that newspaper?
Yes. Spider opens the paper. He's looking for the Rawquist's advertisement.
You can find it quite easily. It says, experienced nanny required for respectable household. Inquire at the home of Dr. and Mrs. R.F. Rawquist, and it gives an address.
She's quite correct. Nothing about it being urgent, and yet they left immediately. 2 days is surely not enough time to investigate the references of a upstanding nanny. Fascinating. Quite fascinating. It's a shame they had left. I would quite like to speak with the Rawquists.
I hope it's all been some horrible mistake. But I have a sinking feeling that it's not.
Cutter, your optimism does you credit. Nevertheless, your naivete perhaps does not. Shall we?
We shall. Is that a thing? We shall. Let's go. I'm so British now.
It's a grammatically accurate response to what I said.
Good.
So, this isn't a customary score. Nevertheless, I will ask you to determine your load now.
Okay. Look at my character sheet. I have a terrifying feeling. I don't know.
Is
What kind
it
of stuff that I want to bring?
Is it because Sable is dressed
You don't
like
have to pick, remember you don't have to pick your gear, just your load.
Yeah. Does having more load mean there's the it only means that like we look like we're packing with
Essentially.
crap, which is fine. I kind of want to go into this with all the load.
And don't forget, we have 2 more load than standard.
So if I go heavy load, it means I have 8 things I can use retroactively. Like, oh, I packed this, I packed this.
But you won't be able to run away very quickly.
Oh, that's what I'm asking. Okay, I'm gonna go with normal load then. So that means I have 7 things, right? Hell yeah. Normal load. Here we go. Click it.
Light load for this gentleman.
It's cool. I'll bring the weapons.
Why should we need weapons? We're fighting ghosts.
Well, you know, I hope that dead baby doesn't rise from the grave and attack me, but if it does, it's not a baby. It's a demon.
The subtitle of this episode.
That's no baby.
Here's some childcare tips for the people at home. If your baby rises up levitating to attack you, that's no baby. Feel free to punch that motherfucker back down and say, "Stop that, baby."
I want to say I like Mr. Spider's brand of comfort. Oh no, I ran away from a baby. You didn't though, did you? Oh.
That wasn't a baby.
So you taking poor Miss Smith with you. She seems to have found some courage from the fact that you've listened to her, and she's had a couple of brandies in her by now. But you're not 100% sure she's going to stick the whole thing out, but she's willing to come with you back to the Rawquists' home. And
That's very brave of her.
She's now that she's had a moment to reflect, she realizes that as far as she knows, there really is a little girl called Elizabeth who might be in need of, for example, feeding.
Yeah. Well, I thought for 1 second that Elizabeth was the dead baby, and they were like imagining her some crazy bullshit.
As far as Miss Smith says, the little baby boy was a boy.
And then you said that, and I was like, oh no.
Oh no, it's something else and possibly worse.
Panic.
So yeah, you take a cab out and you ride out to the Rawquist's address.
My hands are shaking. Luke, why are you doing this to me?
You arrive. It's a very well-to-do area. It's not too far from Regent's Park. You would have to assume that the doctor is a medical doctor, possibly a rather senior one, because this is the home of someone very well-to-do. It is a home that exists on 4 floors, and you are as surprised as Nanny Smith was to discover that there were no other servants. This sort of house would certainly have, at the very least, a housemaid and a cook. The front door is wide open.
Ooh.
Which is strange, because it's been a very long time since Nanny Smith left.
You didn't happen to close the door behind you when you left?
I don't remember, I'm sorry.
No, quite.
You can see her gaze is transfixed on an attic window.
The dread nursery?
I don't know. I don't think...
Miss Smith. Mr. Spider is going to lean in as if to talk to her, sort of stop, and then just sort of step away and leave space for Cutter, because he doesn't think he can do this.
Miss Smith, try calling for her. If she's in the house, she might have wandered out of the nursery or to the... Is there a garden or something?
Will you come in with me?
Of course.
Of course. As far as you're able. Actually, Cutter will probably lead, and she can follow.
Yeah, you go in, and weakly at first, but with increasing strength of voice, Evelyn calls out Elizabeth. And you hear little steps coming down the stairs.
Is it a child or a demon?
You see a little girl of about 4 years. She's got her hair is in little curls, although the ribbons holding them together have come a little loose. She's in a nightgown, and she sits on the stairs and looks at you all very sternly. I'm very hungry. And she looks directly at Evelyn and goes, are you the new nanny? We're very hungry up there. And Evelyn goes, yes, of course. We'll go to the kitchen. We'll make you something to eat. And she sort of looks at you two like, will you come with me?
Oh, definitely.
And you go down into the kitchen, and Nanny sets about making something to eat. And Evelyn hops up on one of the chairs and sort of looks at the two of you. Who are you then?
I'm Mr. Cutter.
My name is Mr. Spider.
That's a funny name.
'Tis quite, isn't it? Are you Elizabeth?
I am Miss Elizabeth Rawquist.
Your parents have taken a trip, Miss Elizabeth.
Yes.
Did they tell you where they might be going?
Yes. A Father has a little cottage in Devon.
And he didn't take the two of you with him?
No, he's going to leave us in the care of Nanny, but then Nanny left.
Quite a frightful mix-up. Dr. and Mrs. Rawquist didn't mention there being two of you.
No, I don't think they know there are two of us.
Heavens. That's frightfully unperceptive of them.
I think it's very stupid of them.
Perhaps, yes.
Mother isn't a stupid woman by and large, but you must know when you've had twins.
I'm sure that's the sort of thing a woman of her stature should notice, yes.
Although I suppose she didn't really have twins.
No.
The problem is... She seems to stop herself.
What's the problem, Miss Elizabeth?
No one ever listens to me when I say, so I'm not saying. I always used to get in trouble with Nanny when I used to tell stories.
Well, you see, Nanny, she's making you a little supper. She's not telling you off, are you, Nanny?
No, no. Buttering bread, swiftly. Well, my twin brother wasn't born exactly. Well, he was born... It must be very difficult for him, I suppose, but he was born without a body. And I've been trying my best, but Mother won't let me have a dog.
Well, that's dashed inconvenient.
I know. I don't think there's an alternative. I did think about rats, but I don't know how to catch them, and I don't want to be bitten.
No. No, best not get bitten by rats. They can make you frightfully ill. Do you talk with your brother?
Oh, yes. He's my dearest playmate.
Oh.
And I promised him I'd try and get him a body. And I've got most of what I need, but I don't think it's worked very well.
Well, you know what? I know a thing or two about these matters. Why don't you show me what you've got?
Everything except the puppy dog tails.
Of course. Of course. Frightfully clever of you to have captured all those snails, though.
The snails weren't so bad, but the slugs were ooey.
Slugs are frightfully ooey.
And they've all... well... most of them have crawled away by now. I should have thought in advance. But the truth is, I'm not sure I want to hurt a puppy.
That instinct does you credit, Miss Elizabeth. Well, why don't you have some of your supper? Mr...
Wait, when you say the word supper, Nanny Evelyn, who stopped making supper around about the time that she realised that this girl was trying to build a little boy out of slugs and snails, sort of shakes her head and hastily resumes making sandwiches.
She's buttered the same piece of bread about 4 times.
And you have a little supper. You must be hungry and frightfully tired, and Mr. Cutter and I shall have a look around and see if we can come up with a new plan of attack.
Please don't attack my brother.
No, of course not. He's only small after all.
I suppose in some ways, but he's just as big as I am, and I'm not a little baby.
No, you're not. You're 4, was it?
I am 4 1/2.
And a whole 1/2. That is, practically a little lady. Well, I'm certain if we all put our heads together, we'll be able to come up with a solution. Come on, Cutter.
Cutter's not going to say anything anymore.
Nanny Smith. Nanny always used to let me have lemonade with cheese sandwiches. You hear as you leave the kitchen.
Mr. Spider strides off with an awful lot of confidence, gets to sort of the foot of the stairs, and then just goes...
He's going to have to stop because before they get to the stairs, Cutter's arm is going to shoot out and grab him by the elbow.
Come on, Cutter.
I do think we may be in over our heads with this one.
Perhaps we can send a crow to hound and get some puppy dog's tails in here.
Don't joke. This is not the moment for it. I'm having a hard time.
At what point would be the moment to joke about it, Cutter? Because currently we have a 4-year-old girl attempting to be a junior necromancer.
You have a point.
Never before have I felt like I have stepped from the pages of some gothic novella.
How does the air feel here? Like, does it feel haunted? We've felt haunted air before. Like, is it the same thing?
Since Spider has the haunted trait, he just assumes he's always being haunted by something.
Well, this is the paranoia kicking in just like a teeny bit. Like, is there electricity in this house? Because that's what Cutter's looking for. Like, oh.
There is... As you take the first couple of steps up the stairs, it becomes apparent that there is something wrong.
Okay.
And this is compounded by not just a strange feeling, but also what you see. As you get up towards the top of the stairs, you see that all of the walls up here are coated in the spidery patterns of slug and snail trails. And here and there you see the slugs. They're as black as treacle toffee.
Oh, that's unsettling. I'm gonna squish one. What happens?
You squish one of the slugs, and you take your foot off, and you think you hear just whispering into your ear. You think you hear a little baby's laughter, and the slug, which you realize might not have actually been literally a slug, reforms from flat and resumes its journey across the wall.
Mr. Spider?
Cutter, I beg you don't do that again.
I seem to have made a mistake.
Is it wrong that I find that perhaps more distasteful than the discussion of undead infants? Never liked them. Frightful creatures.
What do we do with these slugs?
But I don't want to step on any.
No. What if we collect them? Put them in a jar?
I do not want a jar of any sort of slugs. I don't want to touch them.
No,
I don't even want to look at them.
I don't want it, but we can't leave them in the house to haunt this child. Okay, so I want to continue to, I guess, this hallway, not stepping on slugs. Oh, Jesus.
Here's the thing about slugs. They don't move very quickly, but you are sure they are turning to slowly inch their way towards you as you make your way along the corridor.
I really hate this.
Mr. Spider, I think we're being followed.
And up here, the concentration is far greater. They're really every few inches. And you're sure that on the edge of hearing, you can hear them... I don't want to say whispering, because it isn't words that you're hearing. I'm going to use the word susurrating. You're sure you can hear almost like a whispering, childish twittering. Like a giggle, maybe, sometimes.
Master Orquist, can you hear me? Your sister Elizabeth has sent us. We have come to offer our assistance. Drat, I really hoped that would work. We should investigate this nursery.
Okay. Continuing, not stepping on slugs, but also now looking behind us as the wall of slugs is apparently descending.
I'm not
The
looking.
slugs-
I'm not looking behind me at all. I don't want to think about it.
The slugs, for the most part, are on the walls and ceilings, so it's easy to avoid them on the floor, but the floor is coated in this silvery film. It's not exactly sticky anymore, because it dries out pretty quickly, but it's very noticeable.
Okay.
The nursery.
Oh, God.
Oh God.
All right.
There are not many slugs in the nursery. They seem to have left it almost en masse. But there's half of the nursery, or most of the nursery, really, seems to be a little girl's bedroom. You can see a few dolls lined up. They're actually the least sinister thing in the room, when normally they'd be the most sinister thing. And there is that crib.
Mm-mm.
There's no body in this crib. There is a dark stain, roughly the size and shape of a human infant. And away from it, a radial pattern of silvery slug and snail trails.
I don't like what I'm seeing.
And you hear a scream from downstairs.
Well, let's go.
Child scream or an adult woman scream?
An adult woman scream.
Yep, go.
I asked that question like we weren't going to go.
Well, I mean...
A child scream. Well.
You dash down, and you see. You come into the kitchen where Elizabeth is tucking into a cheese sandwich and apparently a little cup of lemonade. But you can see that more than a few slugs have come into the room, and are inching their way towards Nanny Smith.
Come now, this really won't do. A nanny cannot be expected to perform with slugs everywhere.
Well, they're only slugs now. I don't suppose they're much use to me anymore.
What say then we get them out of here?
Well, yes, I suppose.
We could make a game of it. You and...
Are the slugs still black?
Oh, yeah. And they're also, you're pretty sure they're not actually slugs. They're something in the shape of slugs. Not that slugs have much of a shape.
Okay.
Only one way to get rid of slugs. That's what the gardener used to say.
No, you're not wrong. Nanny Smith, I wonder if you could get the salt down from the cupboard.
Salt? Okay. She takes down a salt cellar. There's not much in here.
Oh, no.
At this point, I'd like to remind you of the system of flashbacks.
Oh, yes.
I'll carry some salt.
You knew that slugs were a thing. So it's entirely
I'd forgotten that slugs were a thing. No, yes. I find slugs really conceptually horrifying, so I'm really trying not to think about it.
Yeah.
I know.
I know. Cutter, the salt.
Okay. Yes, the salt. Okay. We've got bags of salt. And I'm gonna give one to Mr. Cutter. Mr. Cutter. Give one to Mr. Spider.
So here's the way that this is going to work. You realize as you go about that the slugs are actually multiplying.
Nope, they're not, because I'm throwing salt on them.
If you stick together, you'll never keep up with them.
This is mean.
Happy Halloween. Right. Cutter, stay with Nanny Smith. I shall go back up the stairs.
I do think we're going to have to work together on this. Perhaps it's best if Nanny Smith waits outside.
Well, we're going to have to split up, or we're never going to get all the slugs.
That's what I meant. They can go outside, and we'll attack the slugs.
Yeah, Evelyn is more than happy to participate in this plan. She's like, right, come on, Miss Elizabeth, let's get you a coat on and go for a brisk evening walk, shall we? I'm not finished with my sandwich and lemonade, and I'm quite hungry because you left the house without feeding me. Evelyn sort of, that's true, and she tears off a bit of brown paper and wraps up the sandwich and says, a nighttime picnic then.
Regent's Park is lovely for a picnic this time of evening.
Yeah, and escorts the girl out of the house. So I'm going to start a 6-segment clock.
No.
It's
What's
a good
it called?
clock. No,
is it a pun?
Oh.
This is a good clock.
Oh, is it a clock called No More Slugs, hooray?
This clock is called The Slugs Are Gone.
Ooh, okay, good.
Hooray.
Oh no. Oh no.
Is that not a good thing?
Well, if they're gone, that means maybe they went into something else. What if there's a dog?
Bree is very good at this. So a 6-segment
Fuck.
clock is started called The Slugs Are Gone.
I'm so scared.
So
God, I hate slugs.
Oh, I hate it. Okay. Sorry, I just think everything is the worst. Like, I'm scared now.
So, because there's only 2 of you, I don't think there's a fun way of doing this in room by room. I was originally planning to do this room by room, but I think with the 2 of you, I don't think it makes much sense.
Floor by floor, house by house.
You go through the rooms and you cast salt on the slugs. It's not a subtle thing. The salt touches them and they evaporate.
Oh, good.
There's no melting or anything like that. They literally evaporate, leaving towards the top of each room a sort of a greasy black fog.
Oh, jeez. That doesn't seem good.
So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask you both to roll a die.
Okay.
What
Which
kind
one?
of die?
One single die.
How do you do that in Roll20? R/ what?
Slash R 1D. 1D6 I think you have to do.
Okay. Before I put this,
No.
can I just say
Oh,
I have to pee from anxiety.
I already rolled mine, so
Then roll and we can take an anxiety pee break.
I don't.
Wait, no, that's not how this works. How did you do it?
Just roll in the side. There's the little d20 in the side, and you just roll a d6. It's not difficult.
Hold on. It is for me. Oh, there we
Slash R
go.
1D6.
5.
She beat me.
Okay. So that is the point where enough of the black fog has coalesced in the ceiling above Mr. Spider that it rushes, entering his ears, his nose, his eyes, and his mouth.
No.
At that point that we will take an anxiety pee break.
Why?
We will be
I'm
back.
already taking mine
We
now.
will be back. We will be back at 1:30.
No.
Hi everyone, we're back! And this time I know we're back. Hope you enjoyed that little break. Mr. Spider's about to have a very, very bad time. Let's cut to that. Mr. Spider.
Hello.
You feel a greasy fluid forcing its way into you, and it gives way to a feeling of all of your senses are turned immediately to unpleasant. Whatever the most unpleasant flavor and aroma and temperature and so forth are, you feel all of them, and you begin to find your own thoughts taken over. But they are not taken over by anything you would identify as a child or anything you would identify as human. You may attempt to resist this possession. No, look, a minor help has been redeemed by Bowman. You may attempt to resist this possession by rolling resolve.
Yeah, but how much stress would I get?
Like any resistance, it costs 6 minus whatever you roll. But of course, the possession's a bit more complicated than a lot of other things, so there'll be other things on top of which. But you can have a bonus die from the minor help.
Like, genuinely, I'm worried because I can't afford to fail badly and get trauma again. I guess resolve is still my best thing. Okay, +1 die. I'll risk it. But if I fail, I'm never rolling to resist anything again.
Okay. I suggest you...
Oh, God.
Okay. So... You have successfully reduced the consequence of this possession. You are still battling the possession, but you have gained the upper hand, and you are now able to act of your own free will for the time being.
Do I have to mark that there's possession somewhere, or is that just a thing that I can...
Let me worry about that.
Okay, great and good.
You are not presently possessed. You are simply occupied.
Okay, so I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
Right now we're going through the house and we're salting slugs.
Yeah.
And I felt something icky, but it didn't register.
You can see so there was a black fog that gathered top of the room. Suddenly, it all whisked out of the room.
Okay, well, if I've salted the slugs in this room, I would like to follow the darting fog.
You have in fact between you've salted all of the slugs in the house.
Okay.
And I think you two probably meet. I don't know what Mr. Spider's going to do now that he's regained control of himself.
I imagine it's going to be a bit shocked by the situation.
Yes, indeed. I want you first of all to fight or flight, which you can attempt to resist with resolve.
What does that mean?
It means you can decide to freeze up or run away, or you can try to resist with a resolve check.
I guess that's the one I'm going to have to resist, because I want to stay in the scene. Now you do me fucking dirty like this.
That's not dirty. It cost you 2 stress. You've got loads of stress to spare.
I don't! I have like 5 stress to spare.
Well, if 5 stress is more than 2, so you're okay. So yeah, good. You are able to act. So what's your plan?
I have no plan. Cutter, what's your plan?
Well,
Okay, well,
Cutter is following the smoke. So what that means is you don't intercept each other on the way. You find you run and you find Mr. Spider. Mr. Spider looks rather pale, rather ill.
what's happened? I followed the... Where did it go? Is it gone?
No. Or perhaps not fully gone.
What do you mean? You look terrible.
Thank you. Upsettingly, I think perhaps I might have inhaled something I oughtn't to have done.
Look in my eyes. Do I see anything?
Every now and then, his eyes become pure black. every few seconds for about half a second.
Hmm.
Right. So this is the worst. Well, it's not the worst thing I've ever seen, but you know, it's pretty close. We've got to Cutter's gonna throw some salt on him.
You have salt thrown on you.
Oh.
You know, I didn't think it would work, but I was hoping.
Thank you, Thank you, Cutter. I feel like a lightly fried halibut.
Mr. Cutter. Not Mr. Cutter, Mr. Spider.
Hello.
Horrible cramps begin to ripple throughout your entire body. Can you please make me another resolve check?
Oh my god.
Oh,
Or you can choose to ride the wave and let it happen.
Please don't ride a wave.
Look, I might not have any choice because I might have to spend stress and then I might get trauma and get possessed anyway.
That might be the worst. Do you want to just do it and then we'll figure out how to unpossess you? Fuck.
Oh, I don't know what to do! This doesn't feel like something I can devil's bargain.
Okay.
There must be something I can have done to...
How much stress do you have left? Like, how many little clear bars?
I can take another 3 stress.
Oh, shit. That's real bad.
Yes, I think... I don't want to get possessed. If I get possessed, I'll get stress anyway, right? I mean, it's trauma one way, it's trauma the other.
If you get possessed, you will. With possession, you take 1 trauma level a week.
Oh
until you die. Until you die, at which point the thing possessing you rides your body like a finger puppet until your body rots away.
Okay, my body's great, so they can't have it. I'm gonna roll resolve. Good for me. Resolve time.
I feel like that's a tiny bit meta because we don't know that.
Look, I don't want to get possessed.
The nature of this game is that you should know the consequences of things.
Okay, yeah, definitely roll resolve.
You are players controlling the drama, and it's Izzy's decision whether she wants to do that.
Look, fundamentally, it's because he's going to get traumatized one way or another, and I was trying to figure out how best to avoid it. I might roll well, so this is the best gamble I can do.
You might not get traumatized. These aren't ordinary rolls.
6.
I rolled a 6.
So you double over in pain, and you retch.
Oh.
And now not a gas, but a liquid, which forms up like mercury into a ball. The black liquid surges along the floor straight for Mr. Cutter.
Salt.
Salt it, Cutter!
Salt at it!
You throw salt at it to no avail. It begins to climb your leg.
No! Can I like wrap it in something? It's gross. If it because if it was a snake, you would just take your pants off and like roll it up. Can I?
Would you like to take your trousers off and gather this thing up?
Like, not really, but
No.
also I don't want to get possessed.
Okay.
Is it going up his trousers or is it going up his leg? Like outside? Is it going up his outside or is it gone up his?
Well, it can't have gone inside because my
It's up
ankles are wrapped.
it's going up the outside. Okay.
I'm gonna try to wrap it in my trousers. It's just, like, I don't know what else. I don't want this thing on me. Can it? Does it? It doesn't go through fabric, does it? Oh,
It leaps onto your exposed skin.
Ah, shit.
And stains the skin, and you see the stain moving up your arm like it's partly in you. And then you feel this feeling. You know how when you're in a swimming pool and that feeling of water going into your ear and kind of down your throat a bit because all the tubes are connected? It's kind of like that. And suddenly your vision is swamped and you feel the most intense urges of violence. And I would like you to either give in to those urges or roll resolve to resist them.
Okay, I'm gonna resist them because I don't want to beat anyone up. I mean, I do, but not right now.
Me.
Look, I have a list of people I would like to murder, but like
I'd be top of the list because I'm.
Yeah, I don't think it's fair. So here's my resolve. I'm rolling it.
That's 2 6s.
Well, that's a critical success. So you actually heal stress from this.
Holy shit!
That's my man.
Fuck you, black ooze of death.
So yeah, you clear one stress, and because this is a critical hit, you actually, I think because it's cutter, I think you're like, no, fuck this, and you give yourself a punch on the stomach to make yourself cough, and you basically spit out a single black slug, which starts to crawl away from you.
No, but we don't want it to. I think salt made it worse, right?
I guess.
Mr. Spider, the last time we threw salt on it, then it was a mist, and then it attacked someone.
What Spider is going to do is whip out a thing and is going to try and thwack the slug.
I don't think we can kill it. I'm going to put my trousers back on.
Whack the slug, it reforms thereafter. There's only one of them. There's much less of it than there was when it first went into Mr. Spider.
Oh, no. Okay. I'm going to put it in a jar.
Okay. Interesting choice. So...
Yeah, you know, like when you like when you see a bug and you just put something over it.
Okay.
Like a jar.
Because you're running a risk of making physical contact with it, I am going to need to ask for an action to do this.
Oh.
I'm not sure what action you think most describes this.
Okay.
Feels like skirmish.
I don't think it is skirmish.
I feel like
I think what I'm going to ask you to do...
None of these feel right.
I'm going to ask you to roll 2 dice. Functionally, I'm going to ask you to roll skirmish. You're not really rolling skirmish, but I think this is a prowess-themed action, and I'm allowed to do this.
Okay, so I'm just going to push skirmish. And... Oh! That's 2s! It's a 2!
Okay, you have failed.
Skirmish with a slug.
You have failed. So you accidentally brush your skin against it. Slides away. And the stain sort of reforms into that slug shape on the back of your hand. And and squirms around a bit on the back, under the skin of the back of your hand, and then stops.
Mr. Spider, help! I don't know what to do. What do we do with this?
Okay, don't panic. Don't panic.
I'm gonna draw it. You.
Try to punch a wall or a pillow or something. Perhaps force it out of you.
I'm gonna shake my hand. Real hard.
It just looks like an ink stain.
Perhaps.
Okay.
Perhaps. Hold on.
Look at my eyes. Are they black? Yours were black when this happened to you.
You do not feel any compulsion or presence at all.
Okay. Just a moment. If this were a tick or something, quick, let me grab that candle.
Candle?
I'm not suggesting we burn you. I'm just suggesting if we warm your hand, perhaps it'll try and leave.
Okay. Also, you could burn me. It's fine.
I don't want to. It's not on the cards. But
you fetch a candle.
I fetch a candle, and like he's gonna hold it, sort of under the patch where the ink stain is. Probably to the point that Carter goes ow and like withdraws their hand. But like
that point is reached very quickly.
Oh.
Okay.
This was,
except that the patch where the black stain is doesn't seem to have warmed up at all.
Let me see that candle.
No, don't.
And I'm putting it there.
Are you?
No. You shall injure yourself.
I don't feel it.
The skin surrounding it feels uncomfortably hot, but that skin does not burn.
It's not burning, Mr. Spider.
Okay, we should bathe it in salt water and iodine. Salt water,
I'm gonna shove my hand into the bag of salt.
You should have salted it when it was out of your skin. It's too late for that now.
I thought salting it would be worse because last time it made of mist and attacked Mr. Spider.
Well, you interpreted the sequence of events the way you interpreted them, and now you have this.
Perhaps... Perhaps some sort of rudimentary battlefield surgery.
I'm going to take out one of my blades.
No. Heavens above.
What?
Oh, we should do this properly. You should put it in hot water or wash your hands with alcohol or something.
But
give it to me. Give it to me. I will.
Okay.
This is fine. This is fine. This is fine.
This is not fine, Mr. Spider.
Mr. Carter, I was attempting to lie to myself in the hopes that it would make this fine.
Oh, I thought you were lying to me. Doesn't work often.
No, nor I.
I'm panicking.
Hold the salt. This will sting. I'm going to cut into the patch on your hand and then pour the salt within. It will hurt a lot. Kindly do not punch me in the face.
I promise not to punch you in the face.
But should the instinct arise, I will understand.
Nope. I have good self-control.
You might. It doesn't. And I guess I'm going to try and cut.
Slug surgery. Live on stream, everyone.
The wound heals faster than you can cut fresh wound.
Oh no. Oh no.
Cut around it.
Cutter, there's a chance.
Cut around it.
If I do
Take
that,
off the top of my hand. Just cut it off.
Cutter, there's a chance if I do that, you might not be able to use your hand again.
Well...
And you, for some reason, when you were fizz-repping it, picked your dominant hand.
Well, she said she picked the hand I assumed that Cutter would have used the jar with.
No, that's true. Dominant hand anyway. I guess Spider is going to try and move ever so slightly outside of the radius of the slug patch. I don't know what you want from me. I'm not a surgeon.
I'll do it.
You are less of a surgeon than I am.
Yes, but you're hesitating, and this thing...
Do you see me hesitating, Cutter? Do you see me hesitating? I'm not hesitating. Your skin is healing.
Stop poking me. Oh, this is a bad time. Do you think I'm going to end up looking like that baby?
Well, the good news is that while we have been fretting about this, nothing else has haunted us. Perhaps we have contained it.
In my hand, Mr. Spider.
Look, I said it was a very slight positive. It has not moved.
Why? I'm going to close my eyes.
Okay.
I'm going to think about the literal demon possibly in my hand. I want to try to talk to it.
A devil's bargain.
Literally.
You try to talk to it. Okay. You do not feel as though there is anything in here with you.
Okay. So, I don't mean to alarm you, Mr. Spider, but I did try to talk to it. And there was nothing there. In my head.
Listen, we are relatively inexperienced in matters of possessions and ghosts and demonic such and such. We don't know if that's normal or not.
This is definitely not normal.
Perhaps we should check the nursery again?
Right.
That seemed to be the place where it was most active. Perhaps it will become active once more. For better or for worse.
After me, I'm going to go to the nursery.
You head to the nursery. It's as creepy as it ever was. But you don't feel any different.
No change.
Heavens. It is not the same.
Cut it off.
No. It is not the same as what happened when it infested itself within me.
I don't trust it not to awaken and cause mischief. Okay. I don't know any
Hey,
witches.
maybe there's some clues in the house about what it is.
Oh, let's look for clues in the house about what it is.
I don't know who said that. It certainly wasn't the GM trying to prompt you.
Well, I was looking around the nursery. That's all I've got. Let's
We
look.
went to the nursery.
Let's look in other places that aren't the nursery.
Let's look for clues.
So just to give you a bit of some context for this, this is, now that you've decided to wear this thing like a glove, this is a long-term thing. You're not going to find the solution to it in the house, unless your solution is to cut
to
your hand off.
wear it.
Well, you decided not to kill it.
I didn't know that we were killing it. I thought we were discorporealating its physical form.
I
so
hit
that it could
it. I
attack
hit
us.
it with a spade. So like.
Well,
Man, I misinterpreted all of that.
you didn't misinterpret. You interpreted differently. All interpretations are valid, and now you've got a hand friend.
I don't like it.
So you have a. I don't know how to give you this trait because traits aren't really a thing. But I'd like you to write on your
My
character.
fist magical now.
I'd like you to.
My punch ghosts.
I'd like you to add a special ability under your special abilities, lightly cursed.
Oh fuck.
You are now lightly cursed.
God damn it. Okay, what does that mean?
I haven't decided yet because I didn't think it would happen, but I'll think about it. What lightly cursed means.
Okay.
But I'm going to say you go to the parents' bedroom and you find some diaries from the couple. And just as you find those, you hear Elizabeth calling from downstairs. Hello? And you hear her stomping her way up the stairs with her delicate little feet.
Go and say hello.
Hello? I'm gonna go in the hallway and intercept the child.
What have you done?
We've gotten rid of the slugs that were attacking people in this house.
My brother has gone.
Has he? How do you feel about that?
I'm honestly not sure. He wasn't always very nice. And I can't pronounce his name.
Did he tell you his name?
He used to whisper it to me just as I was falling asleep.
What did it sound like?
Didn't sound like much of anything. Didn't sound like a word. It almost sounded like someone, I don't know, speaking in some foreign language or something like that. I'm not sure.
Mr. Spider is frantically flicking through the diaries whilst overhearing this.
Elizabeth. Wait, no. Was that her name? Yes.
Yeah.
I don't know much about your brother, but I do know about family. And I will say the people that love you won't hurt you. And they're not supposed to be mean to you. Ever. And I'm not sure where your brother has gone. But if he comes back, you should let someone know. You should let me know. And I'll give her our little card.
All right. You have made quite a mess in here.
Not on purpose.
I shan't be expected to clean that up, shall I?
Of course not. Where's Nanny?
Nanny is downstairs making some more sandwiches because I was not content with all of the sandwiches that I ate on our walk, which was not many sandwiches.
Well, why don't I start cleaning up this mess and you go finish your sandwiches?
I will. I suppose... Thank you for helping.
I'm sorry you don't feel more sure about what happened. But it's best to press on.
I only wish I could tell Mother and Father what had happened, but I don't suppose I shall.
They won't believe you.
They're not coming back.
How do you know?
He told me he was getting rid of them.
Did he tell you where he was sending them?
He said not to worry about them because they never believed me anyway. And that Nanny was all we needed. Of course, Nanny ran away, but I have a new Nanny now.
I don't think this one's going to run away.
I hope not. Aside from the fact that she left me hungry and alone, she does make a pretty good lemonade.
An admirable quality in a nanny.
Right.
Now,
leave us to this mess.
All right.
and Miss Elizabeth,
Yes, Mr. Spider.
you should know that when people we think we trust tell us that we must keep secrets, they normally don't have our best interests at heart.
I didn't keep any secrets. I told everyone about my brother, but no one listened.
Ah. Well, we listened.
The man from the church listened, but then Mummy said he wasn't allowed to come round anymore. Oh well, and she trots downstairs.
A man from a church.
Is it possible that they brought in a bona fide exorcist? I always thought that was a lot of hokum, but I suppose, given what I've learned... Then again, I'm not certain if this family is Catholic or not. No, focus. I've been looking through the journals.
Yeah, that's a long-term project situation.
And I think there's certainly a lot to be working with here.
Actually, I will give you this before that. You do, in fact, discover mention of a church.
Ooh.
Does it have a name, or a priest's name, perhaps, or?
Yes. The name of the church is the Redeemed Circle of Christ Thaumaturgos.
Oh. Oh. That is certainly a name.
Maybe he has answers about. I saw that Luke wrote hand friend.
Hand friend.
And it made me snort. And now my nose hurts.
Baptist,
Okay.
evangelical, Orthodox, perhaps?
Worth a visit.
Potentially Greek Orthodox. But I don't see why they'd be sending Catholics to a well-to-do family on the edge of Regent's Park. Sorry, Cutter, I'm getting ahead of myself.
Okay, so you set about cleaning up. How does this wrap up? A few days later, you read in the newspaper about a prominent doctor and his wife found dead in a holiday home in Devon. According to this story, they believe it was suicide in both cases.
We see Mr. Spider cutting delicate articles from the newspaper about it.
Oh yes, definitely one for the annals.
For my horrible scrapbook.
So what I'd like to do is we won't do any downtime because this hasn't happened at any specific point. And downtime is quite temporaneous. What we will do though is you'll get your experience and things like that. So you gave your card. You don't get any more reputation because I think your reputation is actually full. Let me just double check. Yeah, your reputation is full. You need to go up a tier before you can get more reputation. You need 8 gold, 8 coin for that. Let's do experience then. Starting with the crew experience.
Oh, let me get the crew carrot sheet up.
Did you interfere with supernatural operations / destroy a monster?
I
mean,
we definitely interfered.
I'm so mad. You mean I could have destroyed it, and instead I stuck it to my hand?
One possible ending of this session was you destroyed it completely. Yes. Arguably, this is the more interesting outcome.
Yeah, now you have a hand friend.
Now you have
I'm
a
not
hand
mad at hand friend.
I look forward to the next time you go to the fighting pit. Okay.
Magic hands.
Lightly cursed, actually, but okay. Did you contend with challenges above your current state? Yes.
I think so.
Fuck.
Yes, you did. Have you bolstered your crew's reputation for mysteriousness? I don't think so, necessarily.
Look, if the child talks about us, no. But if the nanny talks about us more, probably still no, actually. Never mind. I take it back.
Did you express the goals, drives, inner conflict, or essential nature of the crew?
I like to think that we did.
Yes.
I would agree. I think part of the essential nature of the Gentlemen Strangers is that they protect the people of Camden from these sorts of things, and that you did that. Like your instinct was protective. It wasn't let's investigate, it's intriguing. It's let's look after everyone. I like that. Okay, Mr. Cutter, experience points. Did you didn't roll any desperate actions. Did you address a challenge with violence or coercion?
I mean...
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Did you express your beliefs, drives, heritage, or background?
Yes. Just poor babies.
Did you struggle with issues from your vice or traumas?
Also, yes. Oh my god. Luke,
Okay.
I don't like how fast I'm leveling up here.
Well, that's because you do a lot of violence. Okay. Mr. Spider, you didn't roll any desperate actions. Did you address a challenge with calculation or conspiracy?
Look, I think you did.
Okay.
Because as soon as we heard that there was some bullshit happening, you immediately were like, give me the papers. Who are these people? What is happening? Why would you do this? Like, to me, that's very Mr. Spider on brand. Like, you didn't just believe her. I believed her right up. And you're like,
that sounds to me like the minimum requirements for conducting an investigation.
I did hopefully role play my investigation in a Mr. Spidery way.
Had you thought of the salt thing on your own, or the look for the diaries thing maybe? But I think just looking their names in the newspaper didn't count enough for me. On the other hand, this isn't actually something I get to rule on. If you think you deserve the experience point, you give yourself the experience point.
Or was the salt thing Brie? I think it's the salt thing.
The salt thing was
no. Mr. Spider said, right, grab the salt, and you were like, flashback some salt, and I was like, okay, I got
the sequence of events as I remember it. But as I said, it's Izzy's decision.
No, I believe you. I don't think I did it. I don't think I did that.
I think what I remember happening was the little girl said, "Gardner says there's only one way to get rid of slugs."
Oh, right, yeah. I didn't remember that about slugs, so...
Did you express your beliefs drives heritage or background?
My beliefs drives heritage background. Not caring a huge amount about children. I like to think I did, because I like to think that I spoke to a well-to-do little girl in an appropriate manner for her.
I agree. I think that the combination of Cutter and Spider addressed this mystery in both the ways the Gentlemen Strangers operate. To one of you, it was actually quite an intriguing affair / horrifying. To another one of you, it was protect this child.
Yeah.
Or possibly kill this child, depending upon whether the child is complicit or not.
I have to say, although I was role-playing it, I really enjoyed playing Mr. Spider, like kind of Uncle Spider. Hello, what have you done? Consulting with ghosts, that's not on.
Good, small person. Did you struggle with issues from your vice or traumas during the session?
Yes. Yeah. Oh my god.
I would say that qualifies for multiple times actually, because there were several occasions when that worked. So I think you should take 2 for that.
Yeah.
In my view.
I'd like that.
So I think we'll do, because it's only 6 o'clock. So I think I'd quite like to have a bit of a chat. I don't know whether you want to go to the Aventine or the Millennium Club.
Epilogue.
And just sort of, I guess this is, I think the scene I'm picturing is you're in the Aventine, Cutter shows up, and Spider slides over the cutout story about the Rawquist's death.
But first, I'm not going to sit there yet. I want to talk to Mr. Hyde.
Oh, of course. Hello, Mr. Cutter. How are you? Oh, how did things go with that young woman?
That's what I came to tell you about, to ensure you that you were right to send her to us. We've taken care of the problem.
Good.
And good work thinking of us. Thank you for thinking of us.
Well, it's good to have handy and trustworthy people around.
Well, you are trustworthy and we are handy, so...
Well, if I didn't think you were trustworthy, I wouldn't... Actually, that's not true. I would accept patrons I don't trust. That describes most of my patrons.
Well, I just wanted to let you know that she's fine. The child is fine. Everything is
good. It sounded
fine.
Like a strange bit of business.
Yes. It was terrible. But it's done now, so that's... I need a drink.
I'll have something sent over to your table.
I'll be at my okay, thank you. Bye.
Mr. Spider's already there.
Oh. So he is. Okay. See you around.
See you in a moment.
I'm so awkward. But I feel like Cutter is supposed to be like, we're not the talky type. But like, I care. I don't know how to care.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Plus you are slightly cursed.
Look, I don't know how to roleplay that yet. Well, I'll think about it.
Cutter?
Hello?
Unfortunate news about the Rawquists.
Oh, was the little girl right?
I do not get the Times.
No. I don't read the Times.
Devonshire police are ruling it a suicide.
We both know it's not.
It may
Poor
be.
little Elizabeth will know it's not. I'm gonna like unwrap, because my hands are wrapped, right, with fabric and stuff. So I'm gonna like pull it back and show Mr. Spider and be like, well, this is still there.
On the positive note, it's not gotten any bigger. Or
No.
moved.
Also no.
I should be cautious with it, however. Clearly had some sort of influence on you and I. Therefore I should second and third guess your instincts on matters going forward.
I would appreciate a bit of help if I ever seem wild or out of control.
Yes, but Carter, I can't be with you all the time.
I'm not sure what to do about it. I don't feel different. I can't cut my hand off.
No, I wouldn't recommend it. We don't even know if it would work. And also, if it would work, then cutting your hand off would be a thing we could imagine. We knew when we took this job that we would be putting people around us in potential risk.
I have a lot of people around me to be
Oh.
putting at risk. And now I'm not sure how I feel about it.
You cannot change the past, Mr. Carter. Large family?
I don't want to bring this home. What if it has a penchant for children?
Almost certainly does. At least for things that can be easily controlled and manipulated. Children.
I still haven't gone home.
Ah.
I've sent word to I have a family. There, you know something about me. That I was looking into. This is so difficult to talk about without talking about it. Affairs. And I think they would believe it for a short time, but not a long time. I can't go home with this.
You will have to go home eventually, Mr. Carter. Otherwise, suspicion will mount.
What if I told them I got married?
Is that the sort of thing that would explain why you weren't at home?
No. Maybe. Want to get married? It's horrible. More drinks.
Imagine Mr. Spider going to Mr. Cutter's father and going, "I'd like your daughter's hand in marriage."
I just spilled water on myself.
I like that you mimed not being able to drink properly and then actually did it.
Yeah, that's fine. I'm all nerves anyway.
And you will forgive me, Mr. Carter, but based on my assumptions about your family and background, running away to get married would surely upset your family a lot more than simply being busy or otherwise engaged. No humour intended.
That was a good pun.
I assure you it was quite unintentional. You are quite correct to be reasonably cautious, however, but there will come a point where you must decide. Do you intend to avoid your family until this thing is resolved, which could be anywhere from a day to never.
Well, I've bought myself 2 weeks at least. Suppose I will be camping out at our fun hideaway for a while.
Hmm.
I don't like it.
Not a sustainable solution. If I may hazard a guess, I will not be able to find the solution to this problem within that time. Which means I now ask you again, do you intend to go home? Or will you be hiding in the Millennium Club whilst missing person posters go up around Camden Borough Market?
What do you think I should do?
I cannot make your family decisions for you. All of us have obligations. I know that I could not simply vanish without causing a moderate stir. You have spoken of a loving family, which means I must hazard a guess that they would miss your absence. It is not simply about the safety of your family, but about the safety of the gentlemen strangers. If they come looking for you, they may find you, which means they could find us.
Smartest thing to do is to never leave without salt, in case it decides to come to life. Right? I'm guessing. I'm just constantly guessing.
I think we are far beyond salt now, Cutter. Little trying to salt the horse after it's already bolted. That was intended as a joke, I apologise.
I like your puns better.
Oh, heavens.
Fine. I'll be cautious. I will look out for random urges of violence. And, you're right, I shouldn't become a missing person just because I have a friend in my hand. But I don't like it.
If it is of any consolation, this unwelcome guest of yours makes you a potential threat to your family. But it makes you a known threat. Up until this point, the threats that I have been concerned with us contending with are the things that find us, track us down, hunt us in the night, observe us from afar, break into our families' homes while we are absent. This is something that you can monitor. You can document your emotional changes, perhaps take up obtuse journaling.
Journaling.
You'll forgive me, Mr. Carter. Up until this point, I have assumed that you were literate.
I can read and write.
I simply did not wish to be talking down to you.
No.
Of course, I would advise against writing down any intimate details of the gentleman stranger's business, but being aware of yourself is the first weapon against undue influence. Something I have attempted to do for years.
Good advice. Well, I have a plan, as much as I don't like it, then. Maybe this will come in handy.
And then you do that sort of freeze frame laugh thing from the end of a sitcom.
Cutter laughs, spider laughs,
Executive
the hand
producer
slug
Sable.
laughs.
And a little from the hand slug. Oh my goodness, a hand slug. I actually have been thinking about it, and I would like to offer you each one downtime action, because I realize that not giving people a chance to do things like heal their stress and train might not be the most reasonable thing in all the world.
Yeah,
So, Mr. Cutter, you're in the Millennium Club, where you have numerous things you might do.
Yeah. Okay, well, we now can do insight training, so I would like to insight.
Yeah, you have
training.
insight and prowess training available.
Yeah, I wanna do some insight training. And we're gonna do that by, I think we found a bunch of creepy journals. I'm gonna find one that's like someone was studying a group of people.
I'm like, literally, it could be anything. Like, you could be reading mechanical manuals.
Yeah.
You could be reading, like things like Survey and Hunt could be like the diaries of Lewis and Clark. I don't know.
I'm gonna find a bunch of stuff and start reading. I think my point is to be trying to find stuff about, possessions, but also then I would get distracted and be like, oh, this is a good book about the animals. Well, I don't know. Whatever I'm finding, I'm gonna do that.
Okay.
And then healing costs gold, right? I don't have any more gold, so I'm
only offering you one down. I'm only offering you one downtime.
Oh, then that's it. I'm just gonna
just because it wasn't really a main score.
Do my insight training because I need help.
Good. Okay. Mr. Breaker.
I need to deal with this stress situation.
You do need to deal with your stress situation. Which of your vices are you going to indulge in this particular occasion?
I think that Mr. Breaker would like to go, and perhaps he's being a little bit hypocritical, that having given Mr. Cutter a talk about monitoring yourself and handling your own shit, he's going to go and have himself just a little morsel of cocaine.
Just a little nibble.
Just a little
nibble of cocaine.
But he has also made it his business to study the effects it has on himself, so that he does not overindulge.
Well, it's very unlikely you'll overindulge.
Yes.
Because you've got 5 stress to clear.
Indulge
so
vice.
You roll your lowest resistance.
Oh, I thought I just clicked indulge vice.
You do click indulge vice, yeah, that's true.
Don't make me do new things. Okay.
Yes, I'm taking selfies.
You clear
not great, but I'll take it.
Indeed. You clear 2 stress. Very good indeed. So yeah, thank you all for joining us for Child's Play, this extra haunted episode of Gentlemen Strangers. I hope it was delightfully unnerving and did not rise to the point of lingering distress for either my players or my beloved watchers. This was a bonus episode in between 2 main episodes, so the next episode of Gentlemen Strangers will be next week, which is the 8th of November, yes. That will be more along the usual lines. Depending upon which players I've got, it might even be the next stage in their saga with Mr. McCreary.
Me.
But that will depend on what players I have available. The next time you see us on this channel, I believe, will be hopefully Tuesday, where we'll have more Among Trash. And then on Friday, you can see the Trash Crew, not on the Trash Crew channel. It will be on twitch.tv/The Model Railway Man, where we will be joining the Model Railway Man in a GM-less one-shot. The first of what may well be a number of GM-less one-shots we take part in. But we'll be on the Model Railway Man's channel. This channel we will be hosting from here. But yeah, do join us. That'll be Friday. Model Railway Man, I don't know what time you stream from. I seem to recall vaguely you said something like 6:30. Is that right?
Get information on our Discord.
But you can get the information on our Discord, and we'll tweet about it closer to the time as well, as I'm sure will the Model Railway Man. Other than that, thank you so much for watching. I'll pass over to Lepraxis Descends, who can thank our wonderful, beautiful 20, nice round number, patrons.
Yes. Of course, 20 patrons is a lovely round number, but 21 is, you know, the age of drinking in America, and who doesn't love...
21 now?
No, I'm just saying, like, having 21 would be great. Don't feel that you can't be a patron because there's a nice round number.
Oh my goodness.
I'm being encouraging. Also, if you are a trash fan who is of interest in such things as Star Trek Iskander, I would suggest keeping an eye on our Twitter feed, for there might be some news.
Ooh, I wonder if it's new episodes of Star Trek Iskander. There's only one way to find out.
Shit, who told you? But keep an eye on the skies. The date's coming. We are currently in that glorious phase of going, when's good? When are we free? When are you free? That's how Kath talks now. But in the meantime, trash bags in the chat if you would be so kind, for this list of absolutely lovely, delightful, wonderful, excellent people who give us such love and energy, and sometimes also play Among Us with us, which is pretty exciting. So love to Sucky, Photosynthetic, Mike Fielding, Michael Kreese, Michael Bowman, Michi Hilbich, Lucas Justinian, Lou Sutcliffe, Liz Murphy, Kiwi Tokawaker, Ken Poyner, who is new, Joe, James Malloy Hobbs, 138, Henry Prestige, Eligos Alexander, Diego de los Reyes, Caffeine Kitty, Andre Cherubinin, Amy C, and of course everybody's most famously named and quite fabulous member of the Trash Fam, whose name can never change from now to the end of time, Helena Handbasket. Much love to all of you lovely, excellent, fantastic people. I've just seen Mike's comment there. Yes, I will be announcing the cancellation of Star Trek Iskander. I am sorry about that. Now was not the time to tell you, but I guess eyes on the skies, kids. And aside from that, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you so much to Sable for running this special episode of The Gentleman Strangers Horror Extravaganza. And we shall see you soon.